Your Royal Highness Otumfuo II, Nananum, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, it's an honor to be asked to give citations to 4 of the 10 featured artists today. I will start with Professor Ablade Glover. Professor Ablade Glover, artist, educator, cultural icon, was born in 1934 in Accra. He's credited and renowned as a major pioneer in the development of contemporary African art. He received his undergraduate training in art from the Kumasi College of Technology, now Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology, KNUST. He received further training at the Central School of Art and Design in London, completed a master's degree in art education from the University of Newcastle upon Tyne, then obtained a doctorate in art education from Kent State University in the United States. His studies abroad have a fascinating origin story. When he received an admission offer from the Central School of Art and Design in London, it didn't come with a scholarship. So he decided to raise his own funding by producing and selling new paintings. W.E.B. Du Bois, the eminent African-American sociologist and pioneering theorist of Black Atlantic studies, and his wife, Shirley Du Bois, lived in Ghana at the time, having been personally invited by President Nkrumah to resettle in Ghana. Mrs. Du Bois was the director of the Ghana Broadcasting Corporation and also an art patron who supported local artists by organizing private viewings and exhibitions. She facilitated an exhibition of Glover's new paintings to critical and commercial success. She then discussed Glover with President Nkrumah, urging the president to support the young, gifted artist, and followed through by facilitating a meeting with the two gentlemen. Her advocacy worked. Nkrumah's cabinet approved a scholarship for the young artist to undertake graduate training in the UK. This set off his graduate training journey in the UK and the US. After his PhD, Glover returned to Ghana and took on an academic position at KNUST. He dedicated many years to teaching and nurturing young artists at KNUST, where he later became head of Department of Art Education and eventually the Dean of the College of Art. His commitment to education and mentoring played and continues to play a pivotal role in shaping Ghana's contemporary art landscape. Beyond academia, Professor Glover is best known for his bold, textured paintings that depict bustling urban scenes, such as transport yards and vibrant marketplaces, including Market Queens. His unique style, characterized by rich colors and impasto techniques, captures the energy and dynamism of African urban life. In 1993, Professor Glover founded the Artists Alliance Gallery in Accra in the purpose-built Omanya House, named after his mother. Omanya House showcases contemporary and traditional indigenous African arts over 3 floors, and it provides a platform for emerging and established artists. The gallery was inaugurated by the former UN Secretary General Kofi Annan, and it's earned Glover numerous accolades, including Ghana's highest Republic Order of the Volta. Professor Glover's works are found in renowned collections across the world, including the British Museum, the Smithsonian in DC, UNESCO headquarters in Paris. He's shown his work in solo and group exhibitions in major art cities in Africa, Europe, North America, the Middle East, and worldwide. He's a lifetime fellow of the Royal Society of Arts in London, a fellow of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. He's been honored in 2 global arts lists, Who's Who in the World Dictionary of Contemporary International Artists, and Who's Who in Art and Antiques. Now in his 90s, in a very vibrant 90s, Professor Glover remains active in the art scene, creating masterpieces and mentoring young artists. Ever the teacher, mentor, elder statesman of the arts, he collects art of others, especially pieces produced by his former students. Professor Glover. second artist I've been honored to give a citation for is Professor Ato Delaki. So Professor Ato Delaki was born in Cape Coast in 1945 and is a celebrated contemporary artist known for his expressive paintings speaking to historical themes, such as the Sahelian horsemen and their adventures as wandering traders in the 17th century. For decades, he taught at the College of Art, KNUST, and was the last dean before the college was renamed the College of Art and Built Environment. He retired as an associate professor and dean emeritus of the college. Professor Delaki attended Achimota School in Accra, where his artistic talent flourished. He studied design in Paris and then returned to Ghana to KNUST, where in 1971, he obtained a BFA first class honors in painting, drawing, and printmaking. He completed and received an MFA, Masters in Fine Arts, from the Tyler School of Art, Temple University in 1975. Delaki's art is inspired by his childhood and youth in Cape Coast, where he was fascinated by horsemen, as well as comics featuring cowboys and native Indians. His most iconic theme, Sahelian horsemen, for example, springs from these youthful preoccupations. His paintings, to quote a previous biographical note, vividly capture the elegance, motion, and cultural significance of these figures, often set against expansive landscapes in rich blue, red, ochre, and earthy tones. Between 1966 and 2016, Delaki's work has been shown in over 100 exhibitions and galleries around the world. He has won numerous awards, including the Leipzig International Graphic Arts Exhibition, bronze, the ECRAG Award for Outstanding Contributions to Development of African Culture. He's also held academic visiting positions in the US in 2 universities. Some of his notable works include Blue Horsemen of the South Sahel, a striking portrayal of mounted warriors in motion, Northern Lancers, which emphasizes the warrior spirit of the Sahel, and The Descent of the Golden Stool, inspired by the Asante legend symbolizing unity and strength. His murals decorated the Rothmans International House, the National Parliament of Ghana, and Kwame Nkrumah's Young Pioneers Building, which was destroyed in 1962. Professor Delaki is an avowed Pan-Africanist and anti-colonialist. His paintings trace deep connections to African histories and identities. He also writes on these themes in journals and essay anthologies, for example, Art and Nonsense in Relation to the African Condition, and Why African Artists Should Also Write. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor Ato Delaki. Next artist is Professor L. Anachui. Professor Anachui is one of the most exciting international contemporaries of our time. His career as a sculptor and professor of sculpture at University of Nigeria in Nsukka spans over 50 years. His art addresses a vast range of social, political, and historical concerns and embraces an equally diverse range of media and processes, with a central theme of finding and binding discarded objects into transcendent messages. His installations have attracted wide and reverent international attention, with audiences fascinated by what one critic described as sumptuous, mesmerizing works made from thousands of aluminum bottle tops. During the Venice Biennale in 2007, he transformed the facade of the Palazzo Fortuny by draping it in a shimmering wall sculpture. As part of the 2012 Paris Triennale, he decorated the entire facade of the Le Palais Galleria with his striking work called Broken Bridge. In 2013, his monumental work, Chia Chia, Searching for Connection, covered the entire facade of the Royal Academy of Arts building in London. El Anachwi has exhibited globally. His works are in over 40 museums, public galleries, and private collections. These include the British Museum and Tate Modern, London, the Pompidou Center in Paris, the De Young Museum in San Francisco, US, and the Metropolitan Museum of Art, New York. He's a recipient of numerous prestigious awards. He received the Prince Claus Award in 2009. The Royal Academy of Arts presented him with the prestigious Charles Wollaston Award for his aforementioned work, Chia Chia. In 2014, he was made an honorary Royal Academician. He was awarded the Golden Lion in 2015 at the 56th Venice Biennale for lifetime achievement. He's also received honorary doctorates from Harvard, KNUST, Bard College, and in 2023, he was voted in Time Magazine's 100 Most Influential People. Professor El Anachwi now splits his time traveling the world, speaking engagements, and working in his studio, which he recently built in Tema, Accra's twin city. Ladies and gentlemen, Professor El Anachwi. My final artist. Francis Kwate Ni-O. Francis Kwate Ni-O, a renowned Ghanaian sculptor and artist, was born in 1942 in Brazil House, Jamestown, Accra. He came from a family of artists. His father, John Ni-O, and his mother, Lucy Saki Hammond, provided a nurturing environment that fueled his passion for creativity. Ni-O's educational journey began at Opokuwari Secondary School in Kumasi and Ganata Secondary School in Dodoa. In 1966, he enrolled at the College of Art, University of Science and Technology, Kumasi. He migrated to the UK in 1968, where he continued at Putney College of Art in London. He then enrolled at the London Film School, where he graduated in film direction. In the 1970s, while he was trying to find his niche in the arts, he formed an alliance with the globally celebrated South African sculptor Giovanni Schumann. Encouraged by Schumann, Ni-O experimented with various media, such as industrial materials, chemicals, and metal powders, and eventually developed his own unique cold casting technique. This technique involved the use of bronze, brass, copper, aluminum, gold, silver, and other metals, casting designs of freestanding and wall relief handmade sculptures and finishing them to a very high standard. In 1973, Ni-O curated his first exhibition with a small collection of sculptures at the Commonwealth Institute in Kensington, London. The impact and response of this exhibition encouraged him to carry on in the gold casting technique, to which to date has accrued a collection of over 1,000 designs. Over the decades, Ni-O has participated in numerous international exhibitions and has commissioned for prestigious projects. One of his most notable commissions came from the BBC in 1981, where he designed reliefs of the BBC's state-of-the-art lifts at Bush House in London. He also designed the coat of arms for the Bahamas Embassy in London in 1982. In 1990, he spent time in Japan, where he worked alongside Japanese sculptor Kuma-san. Returning to Ghana in 1993, after 24 years abroad, he focused on sharing his knowledge and building an international standard art gallery and studio workshop in Accra. Ni-O's notable works include statues of Nana Amonu Kantamanto IV, Dr. Kwejiru Agri, and George Ekem Ferguson, as well as the piece design for the Kofi Annan International Peacekeeping Training Center in Accra. He has also created busts of all the presidents of Ghana, from Kwame Nkrumah to John Dramani Mahama. Niowu is passionate about architecture, building, and interior design. He remains dedicated to preserving Ghanaian and African heritage through art. His legacy is one of artistic excellence and cultural preservation. Ladies and gentlemen, Francis Kwate Niowu.
Your Majesty, please permit me to continue with the citations. Frances Ademola. She was born in July 1928 with the maiden name Frances Kwasi-Aiden, daughter of the eminent Gold Coast lawyer and jurist Samuel Okai Kwasi-Aiden. She partly grew up in Edum Kejetia in Kumasi and has fond memories of some members of the royal household who were her friends. She personally knew His Majesty Otumfuo Art Awards II, Alex Atta Yao Chermantin, and others like Paul Boateng. This was at a time when her father had become the first president of the Asante Cultural Society and was one of the pillars behind the establishment of the Ashanti Cultural Center, later the Ghana National Cultural Center. After studying at government girls' schools in Accra from 1932 to 1939, she continued to Achimota School from 1939 to 1944, from where she went to the private boarding school at West Point School in Gloucestershire, England, and then to the University of Exeter at the age of 21. It was in this period that she became a fascinating sitter of good looks and was painted by the distinguished British painter and watercolorist William Reed, which painting formed part of an exhibition at the elite Royal Society of Portrait Painters at Piccadilly in London. Other photos of her, which would pass today as fashion, were by the London's National Portrait Gallery. Between the periods that her father served as Chief Justice of the High Court of Western Nigeria in 1960 and as the President of the Court of Appeal in East Africa in 1964, Ademola was also living in Nigeria. She got married to Adenikan Ademola, son of the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Adetukuntu Ademola. This was after working at the Gold Coast Broadcasting System, now GBC, from 1954 to 1956, before moving to the Nigeria Broadcasting Corporation from 1958 to 1960, and then to the western region of that country from 1960 to 1963. It was at the NBC that she worked with the distinguished Nigerian author of Things Fall Apart, Chinua Achebe, as his production assistant. She saw not just the making of the bestseller book, but others like No Longer at Ease and The Arrow of God. It was not only Achebe, though, as she immersed herself in Nigerian literature and visual arts. She also worked closely with future Nobel laureates Wole Soyinka, the poets J.P. Clark, and Christopher Akigbo. Frances Ademola was the editor of the first anthology of post-colonial Nigerian writings, Reflections, Nigerian Prose and Verse, 1962, which published these distinguished writers. In an anthology of contemporary short stories, The Gods Who Send Us Gifts in 2017, to mark the 55th anniversary of the famous Makerere Conference on African Literature, which was edited by Ivo Ajimandua, Wole Soyinka, in a foreword, recounted what happened in 1962 on their way to the famous conference. Passing through customs, a Congolese soldier barked an order at Frances Ademola in French, which nobody could possibly understand. When she continued on her way, the soldier pushed her roughly. What followed was a minor fracas, but you don't shove members of a Nigerian delegation, and a woman at that. The Congolese had a mean reputation. Christopher Akigbo, J.P. Clark, and I got physical. It was after Ademola's return to Ghana 12 years later that she founded the first gallery, The Loom, in the center of Accra at Kwame Nkrumah Circle, which gallery sold the artworks of over 100 artists, including Abladi Glover, Atu Delaki, and Larry Otu, who would go ahead to distinguish themselves. The loom came into being because she realized that apart from the famous sculptor Kofi Atubam of Achimota School, the musician Ifrimamo, and the philosopher J.B. Dankwa, and a small group, the Ghanaian cultural landscape was not as big as that of Nigeria and not as exciting. Ademola also devoted time to public policy and served as board chairwoman of the Ghana Library Board, Ethics Committee of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, and Accra Red Church Council. At 97 years of age, she has received the Order of the Volta from the Republic of Ghana from President Jerry John Rawlings, among other awards. Ladies and gentlemen, Frances Ademola. Peggy Appiah, folklore princess, painter, collector, and author. Peggy Appiah was a daughter of the British aristocrat and cabinet minister of the Exchequer, or Minister of Finance of the United Kingdom, Sir Stafford Cripps, and Lady Cripps. Appiah's grand auntie, in a sense, was the economist Beatrice Webb, co-founder with Sidney Webb of the London School of Economics and the Fabian Society. Her great-grandfather was Charles Cripps, the Right Honourable Lord Parmore, first Baron Parmore and leader of the House of Lords. Her marriage to the Ghanaian lawyer and statesman, Joe Appiah, became a sensational Western media engagement, which influenced, some say, the production of the 1967 Hollywood comedy drama, Guess Who is Coming to Dinner. After marriage, and when the couple located to Kumasi in 1954, Peggy Appiah took great interest in the social and cultural life of Ashanti, and from their residence in the former colonial estate of African Bungalow, she immersed herself into the activities of the people, including Sir Osayajiman Prempeh II, Otumfuo Pukuwari II, and Otumfuo Osei Tutu II. And other cultural avant-gardes such as Samuel Kwashe Aidan and Alex Atayao Tremantin, who were trained classicists and anthropologists from Cambridge, respectively. It was on this basis that her training in art history and painting became visible. She had studied painting in Florence in Italy, but more so under the influential English painter Karel Waite, a professor at the Royal College of Art in London, and the Polish-British artist Felix Topolsky, who was one of the official wartime artists for the British monarchy. This was after declining an offer to study at the University of Edinburgh at the outbreak of World War II, as she and her family traveled around the world with her diplomat father to Jamaica, China, Russia, India, and Iran. She would not only paint scenes of Kumasi in the 50s and 60s, but traveled around the Gold Coast and ran charities, especially for the underclass. She collected Asante gold weights, which were used as currency in the 17th century, becoming the biggest collector in living memory. This was at a time when her husband, Joe Appiah, a former roommate of Ghana's first Prime Minister, Kwame Nkrumah, in London, got into politics, became president of the Bar Association, and suffered imprisonment. Auntie Peggy, as she was called by many in Kumasi, published over 20 folklore, fiction, and poetry. They included Anansi the Spider, Tales from an Ashanti Village in 1966, and followed by Tales of an Ashanti Father. Others were The Children of Anansi in 1968, The Pineapple Child, and other tales from Ashanti in 1969, Why There Are So Many Roads in 1972, and Why the Hyena Does Not Care for Fish, and other tales from the Ashanti in 1977. She also published a series to help Ghanaian children learn English: The Lost Earring, Yao and the Python, Abna and the Python, Ifwa and the Mouse, and Kofi and the Crow, as well as a series of novels for children and adults, including Gifts of the Motia, and Ring of Gold, and 2 volumes of poetry. Some of these are set texts in primary and secondary schools in West Africa. Perhaps her most well-known book, which she worked on for 5 decades, was Bumebe, Proverbs of the Akan, a collection of more than 7,000 key proverbs that was launched in Accra in 2001 by the Ghanaian playwright Amar Taidu and the musicologist J.H. Kwabena Nketia. Auntie Peggy was awarded the MBE by Queen Elizabeth II for her promotion of Anglo-Asante relations and an honorary doctorate degree from the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology. She died at 84 in 2006 and was buried next to her late husband in Kumasi on her wishes. She is survived by 4 children, the distinguished world philosopher Kwame Anthony Appiah, the landscape architect Adjoa Appiah Eden, the economist Ama Appiah Anderson, and businesswoman Abna Appiah. Ladies and gentlemen, Peggy Appiah. Kwame Akoto, a rebel becomes public artist. Kwame Akoto was born on November 25, 1950 in Ashanti New Town, Kumasi. He hails from Ntonso, a town known for its rich artistic heritage. His father, Openyin Kojo Apau, was an auto mechanic, and his mother, Madame Sarah Pipim, worked as a hairdresser. His maternal lineage is deeply rooted in leadership, as his grandfather, Oheniba Kweku Pipim, was the late chief of Ankasi. Originally named Anthony Kwame Akoto, he later chose to go by the name Kwame Akoto. At the age of 6, Kwame began his primary education at Ntonso SDA School and continued at Brahma LA School, where his passion for art became evident. Even as a young student, he was drawn to drawing and painting, often replicating movie posters he saw outside cinema theaters. After completing middle school, Kwame decided to pursue an apprenticeship in artwork rather than follow in his father's footsteps as a mechanic. He trained under 2 accomplished artists, Mr. Adai and Mr. Kobia, in Imrum, Kumasi. Mr. Adai was renowned for his expertise in hand lettering, whilst Mr. Kobia excelled in painting images. Kwame's father, however, was not pleased with his decision. He wanted his son to work under him as a mechanic and receive free training instead of paying fees to learn art. Determined to follow his dreams, Kwame took a bold step in 1965. One day, his father's driver brought home some money from his car sales, amounting to £2. Kwame, without informing his father, decided to use it to pay his apprenticeship. Enlisting the help of a lady from his house to pose as his elder sister, he successfully secured his place in the workshop. His father later sent 2 of his siblings to retrieve the money, but they returned with news that Kwame had already begun the training. Initially unhappy, his father soon began hearing glowing reports about Kwame's exceptional talent and hard work. Recognizing his son's potential, he eventually embraced his choice, even supporting him financially with pocket money to ensure he could focus on mastering his craft. After 5 years of training, Kwame became a master artist in 1969. Following his qualification, his father secured a place for him near Swami Methodist Church, close to the Kumasi Cooperative Motor Repair, which later became the National Vocational Training Institute and is now Swami Technical Institute. Kwame named his workshop Anthony Art Works, but a fellow artist with an existing workshop called King Anthony Artworks objected, fearing competition. Kwame changed the name to Almighty God Artworks, a decision that led to greater success. Interestingly, his competitor later changed his workshop's name to Mighty Jehovah Artworks. Over time, Kwame moved his workshop to different locations due to various challenges, including road expansions and professional rivalries. Despite this, his work gained international recognition, with pieces displayed in prestigious museums such as the Brooklyn Museum and the Fowler Museum in the United States. Beyond his artistic achievements, he has significantly contributed to road safety campaigns in Ghana. He has also trained individuals, both Ghanaians and foreigners, passing on his knowledge and skills to future generations. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Kwame Akoto.
Your Royal Highness, with your permission, I'd like to continue the last 3 citations for our awardees of the evening. Melanie Kasise and Swopa. Melanie Kasise is a retired educationist with a passion for the preservation of cultural heritage and women empowerment in her community of Sirugu in the Upper East region of Ghana. This led her in 1997 to establish the Sirugu Women's Organization for Pottery and Art, otherwise known as SOPA, which focuses on old traditions and wall painting, pottery, basketry. It has since taken her as a guest speaker to international organizations in parts of the world, including the United Nations, after the former United Nations Secretary General Kofi Annan and his artist wife, Nan, paid a visit to the community. Sopa was deeply rooted in her family traditions as she was able to go to school because her mother, in whose memory she set up the organization, used these very art forms as economic tools to support her family. SOPA started with 54 women, and what a start it was, the vision of empowering local women with these traditional art forms. Over the years, it has grown into a thriving collective of nearly 500 members. It grew as a result of the leadership she provided and international collaborations in facilitating workshops, training, financial empowerment, and public exhibitions. It serves in addition as a tourist attraction for guests who could lodge at its traditional guest homes. SOPA has helped to preserve traditional crafts that might have otherwise been lost to modernity, fostering a sense of pride and cultural identity in the community. Through SOPA, Madam Kasise has not only honored her mother's legacy, but has also become a symbol of resilience, creativity, and the power of women to transform their lives and their communities. Her unwavering commitment to preserving the past while empowering the future has made her a revered figure both locally and globally. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, Melanie Kasise and SOPA. Nana Opoku Amponsa Otumfuo of Nsoase. Born on 1st October 1959 at Nsoase in the Asantehene Achiamhene Palace in Kumasi, Nana Opoku Amponsa Otumfuo's lineage is deeply rooted in royal service of goldsmithery. Son of Ekuya Anane of Apeman near Durban, Kumasi, and Opemsuo Amankwa of Adankwame, his father was a skilled goldsmith, and his grandfather served with honor as the Otumfuo Achiamhene's, the king chief's linguist, a role great prestige brought to the cultural importance in the Asante Kingdom. Nana Opoku began his formal education in 1966 at St. Peter's Roman Catholic School in Bumpata, Kumasi, after which his father, recognizing the value of vocational training, arranged for him to learn goldsmithing under the mentorship of Opemsuo. To ensure focus and discipline, Nana Opoku was moved from his grandfather's house to live with his master. His master later traveled to Liberia, leaving him to continue his training under the tutelage of Opemsuo. However, over time, Nana Opoku realized his expressed interest in auto mechanics. With his father's support, he transitioned to train in Peugeot repair motors in Kumasi, and he became a commercial driver. While at that, and following the passing of his uncle, the then Otumfuo Bromhene, the elders of his family and community decided without his prior knowledge to nominate him as his uncle's successor. They were led by the Asafo, a chief stool carrier at Asafo, and he was eventually informed of the unanimous decision as the next Otumfuo's Bromuhini. Nana Opoku accepted the responsibility, and on 5th March 1990, he was officially sworn in, pledging his service and loyalty to the Asantehene. In his role, Nana Opoku worked closely with the Otumfuo Hene, bringing his craftsmanship and traditional knowledge into the service of the kingdom in which we are sitting this evening. Drawing on his background of goldsmithing and being a goldsmith's son, he has designed many remarkable pieces of jewelry for past Asantehenes and most notably for the current Asantehene, contributing significantly to the preservation and elegance of royal heritage. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished you are, Nana Opoku Amponsa Otumfuo Opemsuo. Now, this is not an individual. It's the Ganata College of Art and Design. Ghana's old masters goes beyond the elegance of these great artists and others who are not covered in this edition of the awards, to academic art training and professional training, and at least, definitely not the least, is the Ganata College of Art and Design. We must award them tonight. It was founded by the leading cartoonist Yao Boachi in 1969 in Accra. The college provided a huge outlet for those who did not find themselves in mainstream secondary schools' art departments and could not therefore continue studies at the tertiary or the university level. Ganata was, however, afflicted with many administrative and licentiate challenges, including with the Ghana Education Service, which never gave it the license to operate. And in 2014, there was a decisive break when it was closed down. Meanwhile, Ganata had turned out alumni of distinguished artistry. If the diploma in art it promised to give never got given, and instead it was a certificate, it is still a well-known college and deserves to be celebrated. Some of the works of the alumni of Ganata hang in public places and institutions in Ghana and are sold at well-known galleries such as the Artists Alliance in La Accra, with one of the interesting murals that is hanging in Abladi Glover's office by an alumnus of the Ganata College. Nubuka Foundation, the 1957 gallery also in Accra, and international galleries in Dubai, of the United Arab Emirates, London, and other European capitals. Some of the contemporary artists winning awards in Ghana, those long and shortlisted for prizes all over the world, include some of Ganata's alumni. The New Perspectives, Contemporary Art from Ghana, a new book that categorizes and catalogs contemporary artists and their work. It discusses eminent artists, including the college, such as Kwesi Owusu Ankoma, who studied between 1971 to 1974 at Ganata and would become a well-known artist in Germany. Between 2012 and 2014, after which the college was closed down, at least 12 graduates from the two-year streams had gone on to become national and international artists. They had also sought validation from other non-Ghanaian institutions of their talents. And I'll name some of the artists. Ishak Ismail, who does paintings and has been exhibiting around Africa, the Middle East, and Europe. Anwaku Boafo, 2017 Jury Prize at Walter Koskatsky Art Prize and the Strabag Art Award awardee. Serge Atukwe Clote, who later studied at the University of Art in Brazil, Gringard, and at a young age received an honorary doctorate from the University of Brighton in the UK with exhibitions all around the world. Otis Kwamiche Kwaku held residence in Los Angeles and exhibited Robert Project's gallery in 2020, attracting Vanity Fair, Art News, and Art Forum, amongst many others. Kwesi Botre, with new and well-known innovative color painting, attended Ganata. Cornelius Ano and others such as Anan Afrote, Foster Sechiama, Lord Ohene Otreboa, What some of this group of under 40-year-old artists have strived to do in different ways have been to redefine what art is and who can become and who became who they are without standing in front of the obstacles that wanted to stand in their way. The academic art and practical art of the derogatory label, exhibitionist, which was once used to refer to great painters, but also academics like Ablade Glover, who is here tonight and is an awardee. This work that Ganata did made it redundant. The best art critique and its appreciation could also be better done with open minds of the artist's circumstance and his or her right to what they want to be. And Ganata stands for that. Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the Ganata College of Art and Design.
Thanks so much, Professor Amma de Graaf Takins, Mr. J.O.T. Ajiman, and Mr. Pioko Siram Ashong Abe.